I know that we have people, and we have to understand that we represent a lot of different people who really are struggling to understand how this conversation benefits this ideal of providing a universal education to the students who come to our university. How would you support them, or what would you offer to them, those people who are having those thoughts right now?
You know, first off, I'd like to say this. You know, we as a people have to believe that people start out with good intentions. You know, I just responded in the chat, and Renata, I'm not calling you out, Dr. Renata, but Savitri, you called out something during our preparation session. You said you reached out to the leaders and asked for them to nominate people to be on this panel. And as a result, when you saw the panel, it looks like it looks, and there may not appear to be a lot of diversity on this panel. But you reached out to the leaders and got the nominees. It just happened that this is what you got, and you went with it, but you also acknowledged it. And I think, you know, and so I appreciate Dr. Renata actually seeing it and being, as Tamika said, not only having a safe zone to speak up, but having courage to put it in the chat box to say, hey, look at this panel. You know, maybe some of this starts with us, but the intentions were good. And there was nothing malicious about putting this panel together. It's just what came in. And we went with it, you know, rather than cutting it down. And so I think it's important, as me as a leader, what I try to do is to say people come with good intentions. My students are coming into my class with good intention. My peers, my colleagues have good intentions. And then I go from there versus making assumptions. And then I challenge my own assumed constraints. Some people, we're all talking about normal and going back to normal, but sometimes people, normal is all they know. I'm a boy from Compton. My normal wasn't so good. It was bars on our front door. It was bars on our window. It was family members going to college. It was gangs. I don't want to go back to normal. So we have to understand that some people's normal, your normal may be good, but somebody else's normal may not be something they want to go back to. They need a new normal. And I think that's important as we invite people in to understand their circumstances and not to be colorblind, but to appreciate their differences, and just move with that and just say that people have good intentions.
And I want to add, thank you. Hey, Greg, I want to add to your perspective too. When we think about the panelists today, one of the things that came to my mind was the system. That the system that we have at Walden dictated to us who was going to be here. That's my belief. My theory may or may not be true, but I think that we decide how things are going to go. We have the power to change, right? We have the power. I believe the system in of itself at Walden has the power to change and correct things. But I also think that we're looking at the panel, we're looking at visible minorities, and that's another aspect, and not the invisible minorities. There might be, I know some, there might be more diversity in this panel than what we think. There might be Asians here.
That's right.
Right, there might be Latinos here and other things. We don't know, LGBT, all kinds of different, older, younger. There's all kinds of diversity that's reflected here. So I'll just shut up. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Brendan, one thing I would mention about diversity is the gender. You know, I am from a country where gender, based on my gender, we got discriminated a lot. So gender brings a huge diversity for me. And another thing, after coming to US, what I'm seeing, there's a, what they call Asian privilege. Like Asian is the successful model minority. And so that comes with a huge pressure for all of us. You have to be doctors, you have to be engineers, and everything like that. So we have been doing a DEI report, and I didn't see enough Asians for Walden. And I was wondering, looking back, and I was like, well, they are not, we don't offer medical degrees. We don't offer engineering that much. We don't offer science degrees. So no wonder. So that brings a lot of pressure on Asians, including myself when I was coming for psychology. What are you doing psychology for? So that's a cultural pressure and cultural understanding that we need to also have. So again, I'm speaking for the Asians, so I wanted to bring it up too.
And if I could just jump on that,
I want to
say,
yeah.
I'm sorry. If I could just jump on that and say, you know, many people see me and assume she's African American until they hear me open my mouth and I start speaking. And I was born on the shores of London, and my father is mixed. My grandfather is a white Irish man. My grandmother is Black from Barbados. On my mother's side, we've got Syrian and Caribbean, African, et cetera, et cetera. And the other piece I wanted to add was, I'm probably here simply because of the diversity safe space that Gina and I developed in the social work program. And that's the focus for here, hence the reason why. And we had the option to say, nah, which I appreciated, but you know, no, we said, sure, we just come here and be a part of this. And it's great to meet others who are doing similar things under the banner of diversity, equity, and inclusion here at Walden.
And I just wanted to say, you know, that I love this, and I'm going to say it one more time, which is what I opened up with. Everything that we're saying confirms for me that we need both. We need the formal training, because everyone doesn't know all that we know. Everyone here hasn't heard of cultural humility, haven't heard of, we may know cultural competency and what that is, but some haven't even heard the term. Some haven't heard the term Latinx or all the various acronyms that are available out there. So we actually do need the formal training so that we have the knowledge base by which to operate with one another, but we need that additional experiential piece as well, whether that's immersion, learning, you know, those process groups like this, whatever that may be, we need them both.
Thank you for that. Nina, I'm not going to wrap up. I'm going to allow you to do that. I'm going to say to everybody on the panel, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate what you have to offer to us as educators and members of the Walden community. I encourage everybody to take advantage of what you all know and what you shared by reaching out and connecting with you to learn more. Hey, Nina, I want to ask you this. Based on your tenure at Walden, what you've seen, and having a very broad background, what's the thing you're most hopeful about at Walden University about this conversation right now?
What I'm hopeful about is that it just feels like the first time to me, and I've been here, it'll be 20 years next year, that we're actually directly engaging in this discussion, and we're engaging in it at different levels. What I would have loved to talk about is the institutional stuff, since that's kind of where I'm focused right now, is because all of these things that we're doing are great and I'm loving them. And mentioned to Savitri, can we get a best practices document going from all the things that you all talked about during this 2 hours of what you're doing in your classroom? Because I think that would be, that's an easy thing we could do. But what are we doing institutionally, right? And I feel like even with the fits and starts, I'm hearing institutionally, we're still in the we'll see where it goes phase, right? But we're talking, I'm from Missouri, but at least we're talking about it, right? And not just, hey, we're so diverse as a university, which, how diverse are we? How diverse are we? It's like a joke, right? When someone says that, how diverse are we, right? But now I think we're really starting to talk about what we can do. And I want to hear what the institution's going to do. And, how we're going to look at recruitment and training and, inclusion. And so, what kind of support are we going to give all the faculty, not only just to learn, right, but also how to produce in the classrooms, connect with students. So I feel like for the time, this is an ongoing conversation, and we've just not had that before. So it being in HR as well as in the Provost's office, we'll see if that's the ticket. We'll see.
Well, I want to say to all of you, thank you so much for being here, because this is what I'm doing now. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Goodbye,
everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.